So we already made a very in-depth asset browser tutorial for Blender, but there's a lot of other stuff in there and it's kind of long, so I figured I'd make a simplified asset browser tutorial, and here it is. Step number 1. Open Blender and go to your Preferences. File Paths section, click the plus button, and we're going to add a folder as a library. I'm going to make a brand new folder called Cool Stuff Library. And there it is, nothing's inside of it. So Blender is going to see this in my Blender folder, Cool Stuff Library, Add Asset Library. There we go. Now it's listed here with the file path. Give it a name, Cool Stuff Library. Enter, and make sure to go up to the top where it says Preferences and click Save Preferences. Step number 2, add some blend files into that library folder. Okay, step number 3, open one of the blend files and pick which objects or materials you want to mark as an asset to use later in the asset browser. If your object is actually made of multiple objects, you'll need to join those together, or else they'll be added to the asset browser as a bunch of tiny pieces. This one is just made out of a cube, so I'm going to right click on it and choose Mark as Asset. Alright, step number 4, switch to your asset browser, and by default it's going to show your current file. These are the assets in your current file. There's only one object, which is the cube. Let's organize this by making a catalog. This can be viewed later and it will help organize all of the assets that we begin to add to this library folder of blend files. So I'm going to click plus. I'm going to make a catalog of industrial props. Alright, now click on unassigned, which is where all the assets will be before they go into a catalog. Click and drag it into industrial props, and now it's right there. Alright, step number 5, let's save this blend file. Control S. Open a brand new blend file with nothing in it. Open your asset browser on top. Okay, now we're going to switch from current file to the Cool Stuff Library, which is shown here. And now we have the catalog we made with one of the assets inside there. Now we can split our view, have the 3D view on top or bottom, whichever you want, and drag and drop stuff. And the material is kept intact with the mesh. Let's open another blend file. Here's one with a model that's made up of separate meshes and parts. So to make this easier, I'm going to select the ground plane, delete that, select the light, delete that, and press B for box select and drag over all these objects. Make sure they're all selected over here in the outliner. Yep, they're all orange. Let's highlight the main body shape to be the active object and then press Ctrl J to join them all into one mesh. Now they're all joined together and the materials are kept intact as well. In the outliner, right click, select Mark as Asset, go to your asset browser. I'm going to make a catalog and name it Military. Go to Unassigned, which is where this tank is because we have not put it anywhere. Drag it into Military. Awesome. Now before you close this source file, make sure to save changes, or this won't be visible later in the asset browser. Just to make sure we did it right, let's open a brand new blend file, open your asset browser, change our library to the one we just made, and there it is. We've got the storage container, and under Military we've got the tank. As I complained about in the other longer video, you cannot change the name of this, and you also can't reorganize this because we are not in the source file, which is where this file came from. So look, if I click and drag this, it says only assets from this current file can be moved between catalogs. So this current file right now is blank. There isn't nothing in here. So if you want to rename this, if you want to update the thumbnail, if you want to reorganize it, you have to open the source file. If you're not sure where that is, press the letter N and expand this out, and you can see the source. It tells you where that blend file is that the asset is coming from. So you got to open that in order to modify it. And you can actually click on this little button here, Open Blend File, to do that pretty quick and easily. Now I can rename this, pressing F2, storage container. I can also add keywords if I want to. And the thumbnail here does not show the textures because this is a pretty complex procedural material. So as of right now, Blender does not render this into the thumbnail. So here's a little trick that one of my YouTube commenters found out. If you add an image texture node, open an image texture in it, and assign it a UV map by just pressing Ctrl T, this will now load into the preview. Watch this. If I click on this, go over here and click refresh thumbnail, it's going to load with this image attached. Even though this is not connected to anything, this is not going to show up in the render or anything, but for some reason the asset browser wants to see an image texture to stick it onto this thing. So try to find an image that matches the color. Here we go, this one's a little bit brighter. Open and then refresh. There we go. At least I can say, yeah, it's a rusty, red color based on this procedural. So pretty weird, but that's how it works in the current version. I'm sure this will be updated in future versions of Blender. Well, that's it for this super quick asset browser tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to learn some really good tips on how to prepare assets such as meshes and materials for more complex organization, resetting the origin points, applying scale and rotation, all those good stuff that you really should start to learn now, go watch the other video because it's really good. It's just a little bit longer than this one. So thanks again for watching. If you have any questions, ask down below.